Black woman comforts a struggling single dad and his kids in his darkest hour. The next day, he returns with a heartwarming gift that leaves her in tears. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. Zara Johnson's dimples appeared as she smiled at her reflection in the subway window, a habit she'd developed to brighten her own day before heading into work. At 24, she balanced her job as a children's librarian with evening classes in early childhood education. The spring morning carried a gentle warmth through the subway car's open windows, hinting at the beautiful day ahead. Zara adjusted her yellow cardigan and checked the time on her watch. She was running early today, a rare occurrence that put an extra spring in her step. The Harrison Heights Public Library sat nestled between towering apartment buildings and small family businesses that had withstood the neighborhood's gradual gentrification. Zara loved her job, especially the children's reading circle every Tuesday and Thursday morning. Today was Tuesday, and she had planned a special interactive storytelling session featuring books about families. "Morning, Zara!" called Ms. Peterson, the head librarian, as Zara entered through the staff door. "Those dimples are on full display today. Must be story circle morning." Zara laughed, the sound like wind chimes in a summer breeze. "You know it. I've got some new ideas for the kids today, bringing in some finger puppets for the family book." She settled at her desk, arranging her materials for the reading circle. The library wouldn't open for another half hour, giving her time to review her plans. Zara believed deeply in the power of stories to shape young minds, to help children understand the world and their place in it. She took special care with her selections, ensuring diverse representation and engaging narratives. At precisely 10 o'clock, families began trickling into the children's section. Zara recognized most of the regular attendees: Mrs. Chen with her twins, Mr. Romano with his granddaughter, the Murray sisters with their homeschooled children. But today, a new face caught her attention. A tall man stood awkwardly at the edge of the gathering area, a girl of about 9 clutching his hand while a younger boy, perhaps 7, darted between bookshelves with barely contained energy. The man looked exhausted, dark circles beneath his eyes contrasting with his warm brown skin. His clothes, though clean, had the rumpled appearance of having been hastily selected and donned. "5 minutes till story time," Zara announced cheerfully, setting out the colorful cushions in a circle. She approached the newcomers with her signature smile. "First time at our reading circle? I'm Zara, the children's librarian." The man seemed momentarily startled, as if unused to being addressed directly. "Oh yes, I'm Marcus. These are my kids, Lily and Ethan." He gestured to the girl still holding his hand, then toward the boy who was now examining a globe with intense fascination. "My neighbor mentioned this might be helpful." The way he said helpful carried the weight of someone desperately seeking any form of assistance. "Well, you're in the right place," Zara assured him. "We've got a great program today about families." She knelt to the girl's level. "Hi, Lily. Would you like to help me set up our puppet theater?" The girl looked up at her father, who nodded encouragingly, before cautiously following Zara to the storytelling area. Zara noticed the girl's shoes were untied and knelt down. "May I?" she asked, and when Lily nodded, she quickly tied the laces into neat bows. "There you go. Safety first, right?" Lily offered a tiny smile, the first crack in her shy demeanor. "Ethan, story time's about to start," Marcus called, his voice betraying fatigue and a hint of strain. The boy ignored him, continuing to spin the globe. "Ethan," Zara called, her voice carrying a playful lilt that caught the boy's attention. "I need a special helper to turn the pages of our big book today. Someone with strong arms and a good eye for detail." The boy perked up immediately, abandoning the globe and racing over. "I'm strong. Dad says I'm the strongest 7-year-old in the whole building." Marcus mouthed a thank you over his son's head as the children settled onto cushions. Zara noticed he remained standing, hovering uncertainly at the edge of the circle. Parents and guardians are welcome to join us, she encouraged, patting an adult-sized chair nearby. Sometimes the stories are just as much for grown-ups as they are for kids. Marcus hesitated before sinking into the chair, his body language suggesting he hadn't properly rested in days. As Zara began the session, welcoming everyone and introducing the family book, she noticed him stifling a yawn. By the time she reached the third book, his eyes had drifted closed, his chin dropping toward his chest. The children were fully engaged in Zara's animated storytelling, laughing at her character voices and eagerly answering her questions. Lily had gradually moved closer to the front, her initial reluctance melting away. Ethan proved to be an enthusiastic page-turner, though his assistance sometimes came several pages too early. As the session concluded with a simple craft activity, creating family portraits with pre-cut paper shapes, Zara kept an eye on Marcus, who had jerked awake at the sound of children moving around. He looked momentarily disoriented, then embarrassed as he realized he'd dozed off. "Sorry," he mumbled when she approached with craft supplies for his children. "No need to apologize," Zara replied warmly. "Looks like you needed that power nap." Marcus ran a hand over his face. Been a rough few weeks. New job, new schedule, and trying to figure out. He gestured vaguely at his children who were busily selecting colored paper. "All of this. On my own." Zara's heart squeezed with empathy. Single parenting wasn't easy under the best circumstances, and Marcus clearly didn't have those. "They're great kids," she offered. "Ethan was my star helper today." A genuine smile transformed Marcus's tired face. "He's a good kid. Both of them are. He trailed off, watching as Lily carefully glued paper pieces together. "Sometimes the transition times are the hardest," Zara said gently. "Getting from one activity to the next." Marcus looked at her with surprise, as if she'd read his mind. "Exactly. Mornings are a nightmare. Getting them fed, dressed, and out the door while I'm trying to get ready for work, I don't have it figured out yet." "How long have you been—" Zara left the question unfinished, unsure of the appropriate wording. "On my own with them? About 6 months?" A shadow crossed his face. Their mom decided family life wasn't for her. "I'm sorry," Zara said simply. Marcus shrugged, but the gesture couldn't mask the hurt in his eyes. "We're managing, sort of." He glanced at his watch and sighed. "I should get Ethan to his half-day kindergarten program. Thanks for this. It was nice." As they gathered their belongings, Zara impulsively reached for one of the library's program flyers. "We have activities almost every day," she said, handing it to Marcus. "And I'm always here if the kids need a place to just be kids for a while." Their fingers brushed as he took the flyer, and something passed between them, a spark of connection, of understanding. Zara's dimples appeared again as she smiled encouragingly. "It gets easier, from what I've observed with other families." "God, I hope so," Marcus replied with a tired laugh. "Say thank you to Miss Zara," he prompted his children. "Thank you, Miss Zara," they chorused, Ethan with enthusiasm, Lily with shy politeness. As they headed for the exit, Zara watched them go, Marcus guiding his children with gentle hands on their shoulders. Something about their situation tugged at her heart, and she found herself hoping they would return. 2 days later, Zara was rearranging the display of seasonal books when she spotted them again. Marcus looked even more frazzled than before, if that were possible. He was clutching a stack of papers in one hand while attempting to guide both children with the other. "Miss Zara!" Ethan shouted, breaking free and racing toward her. "We came back! Dad said we could because I did all my homework yesterday." Zara's dimples appeared as she smiled, kneeling to receive the enthusiastic high five Ethan offered. "That's fantastic news, both the coming back and the homework." Lily approached more cautiously, but Zara noticed a small paper clutched in her hand. "I brought something," the girl said softly, extending the paper. It was the family portrait she'd created during the craft session, but she'd added more details at home. a carefully drawn yellow cardigan on the figure Zara realized was meant to represent her, standing beside the family. "Oh, Lily," Zara breathed, genuinely touched. "This is beautiful. Thank you for including me." Marcus finally caught up, looking both apologetic and overwhelmed. "Sorry about the hurricane entrance. We had a bit of a situation at home." He lowered his voice. "Broken pipe. The super's working on it, but we had to clear out for a few hours." "You're welcome to stay as long as you need," Zara assured him. "We don't have a formal program today, but there's a puzzle table set up, and I was about to put out some drawing materials." Relief washed over Marcus's face. "That would be perfect. I've got some work forms to fill out." He held up the stack of papers. "New job paperwork. It's endless." Zara led them to a quiet corner of the children's section, where she quickly set up drawing paper and markers for the kids. "Ethan, Lily, would you like to draw pictures of your favorite book characters while your dad works on his grown-up papers?" Both children nodded eagerly, already reaching for the markers. Zara turned to Marcus. "There's a table right here where you can work. I'll keep an eye on them." "I can't thank you enough," Marcus said, his voice thick with gratitude. "It's been one thing after another today." As Marcus settled with his paperwork, Zara observed him surreptitiously while helping other patrons. There was something profoundly moving about watching him struggle so earnestly to hold everything together for his children. His pen hovered over a form as he frowned in concentration, occasionally glancing up to check on Ethan and Lily. After directing another young patron to the dinosaur books, Zara approached the children's table. "How are those drawings coming along?" Ethan proudly held up his creation, a lopsided but enthusiastic rendering of a cat in a hat. "It's from the book we read at school." "Excellent choice," Zara praised. "Dr. Seuss is one of my favorites too." Lily's drawing was more detailed, a girl with long braids standing beside a horse. "It's from Mustang Valley," she explained quietly. "Dad reads it to me sometimes, but he doesn't do the voices like Mom used to." The simple statement carried a world of loss, and Zara's heart constricted. "Maybe I could show your dad some voice tricks sometime," she offered gently. "I practice a lot for story time." Lily nodded, her eyes lighting up slightly. "That would be nice." Marcus looked up from his paperwork, having overheard the exchange. His expression held a mixture of sadness and gratitude. Zara gave him an encouraging smile before moving away to help another patron, offering him the privacy to collect himself. When she returned a few minutes later, Marcus had set aside his forms and was helping Ethan sound out words in a simple reader book. Zara noticed with librarian's approval that he was using the right techniques, pointing to words, asking questions about the pictures, letting Ethan work through the sounds. "You're good at that," she commented, setting down a few more books she thought might interest the children. Marcus looked surprised. "Am I? I feel like I'm just guessing half the time." "That's parenting in a nutshell from what I've observed," Zara laughed. "But seriously, you're giving him time to work it out, not just telling him the words." "That's exactly right." A flush of pride colored Marcus's cheeks. "Thanks. I try to remember how my mom taught me." His expression faltered. Their mom was better at all this stuff, though. She was a kindergarten teacher before. He trailed off, glancing at the children to make sure they weren't listening too closely. Lily was absorbed in a new book, while Ethan had moved on to a building block set nearby. "Before she left?" Zara supplied quietly. Marcus nodded, his jaw tightening. "Walked out 6 months ago. Said she needed to find herself. Moved to California with some guy she met online." Bitterness seeped into his tone. "Calls the kids maybe once a week, sometimes forgets." Zara's heart ached for all three of them. "I'm so sorry." "Yeah, well." He shrugged, attempting nonchalance. "We're figuring it out. I got custody, found a new apartment, landed this job as a graphic designer with a marketing firm. It's just a lot all at once." "Sounds like you're doing amazingly well considering," Zara said sincerely. Marcus laughed, a short, strained sound. If you could see our mornings, you wouldn't say that. Ethan can't find his shoes. Lily needs her hair done. I'm trying to make lunches and get myself ready. It's chaos. Morning routines are tough even for seasoned parents, Zara offered. Have you tried setting things out the night before? Sometimes, Marcus sighed. When I'm not falling asleep on the couch surrounded by laundry. Before Zara could respond, Ethan came bounding over. Dad! Dad! Can Miss Zara come to our house sometime? She could read us stories before bed like Mom used to. Marcus looked mortified. Ethan, we can't just invite people to… Actually, Zara interrupted, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. I do some after-hours literacy volunteering through the library, family reading nights, that sort of thing. This wasn't strictly a formal program, but Zara had done similar volunteer work before. I could stop by sometime if that would help. Marcus stared at her, clearly torn between desperate need and reluctance to accept charity. That's really kind, but I couldn't ask you to. You didn't ask, I offered. Zara pointed out with a gentle smile. No pressure either way. Lily had approached silently, now standing at her father's elbow. Please, Dad. Miss Zara does the best voices. Looking at his children's hopeful faces, Marcus's resistance crumbled. If you're sure it wouldn't be an imposition. Not at all, Zara assured him. She reached for a library notepad and jotted down her phone number. Text me if you'd like to set something up. No obligation. Marcus accepted the paper with careful fingers, as if he were being handed something precious and fragile. Thank you. Really. A notification chimed on his phone, and he checked it quickly. The super says our apartment's all clear. We should probably head back. As they gathered their things, Zara helped Lily put on her jacket. The little girl looked up at her, a question in her eyes. Are you really going to come read to us? If your dad decides it would be helpful, then yes, I'd love to, Zara answered honestly. Dad needs help, Lily whispered, her voice so low that only Zara could hear. He cries sometimes when he thinks we're asleep. The simple statement hit Zara like a physical blow. Before she could formulate a response, Marcus called for Lily to come along. The girl hurried after her father and brother, turning once to wave goodbye. Zara watched them leave, Ethan chattering excitedly, Lily walking close to her father's side, and Marcus trying to respond to his son while checking his phone for messages. They made a beautiful family, albeit one carrying visible wounds. Later that evening, as Zara was preparing dinner in her small apartment, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Marcus, from the library. If the offer still stands, we could really use some help with bedtime tomorrow. No pressure if you've changed your mind. Zara smiled, her dimples appearing as she typed her reply. The offer absolutely stands. What time works for you? The apartment building where Marcus and his children lived was a modest mid-rise in a transitional neighborhood, not unlike the one where Zara herself resided. She checked the address on her phone one more time before pressing the buzzer for apartment 4C. She had brought a canvas tote filled with carefully selected books from the library, checking them out on her own card for this special home visit. The intercom crackled. Hello? Marcus's voice sounded tinny through the speaker. It's Zara from the library. Come on up. The door buzzed open and Zara made her way to the 4th floor. Marcus was waiting in the doorway of 4C, looking slightly less frazzled than the previous time she'd seen him. He'd clearly made an effort. His hair was neatly combed and he wore a clean button-down shirt instead of the rumpled t-shirt she'd seen him in before. Thanks for coming, he said, stepping aside to let her enter. The kids have been talking about nothing else all day. The apartment was modest but pleasant, with signs of both careful attention and overwhelming circumstances. A basket of unfolded laundry sat on the couch and dirty dishes were stacked beside the sink, but children's artwork adorned the refrigerator and family photos lined the walls. Miss Zara, Ethan came running from what appeared to be the bathroom, his hair wet and wearing mismatched pajamas, dinosaur bottoms, and a superhero top. "You really came." "I really did," she confirmed with a warm smile, kneeling to his level. "And I brought some special books for us to read together." Lily emerged more slowly, already in matching pajamas, her hair neatly braided. "Hi, Miss Zara," she said softly, a small smile playing at her lips. "Hello, Lily. I love your braids. Did your dad do those?" Zara asked, noticing the slightly uneven but earnest attempt at hairstyling. Lily nodded. "He's been watching YouTube videos to learn how. They're not as good as Mom's yet, but he's getting better." Marcus ran a hand over the back of his neck, embarrassment and pride mingling on his face. "Still working on my technique." "I think they look wonderful," Zara said sincerely. "When I was little, my mom used to braid my hair every night. It took me years to learn to do it myself." "Dad says we have to go to bed at 8, Ethan announced, clearly disapproving of this schedule. "That's in 30 minutes. "Then we'd better make the most of our time," Zara said, setting her tote bag on the coffee table. "I've brought some very special books." The living room was small but cozy, with a worn couch and a couple of mismatched armchairs arranged around a coffee table. A modest television sat against one wall, currently displaying a paused video game. "Why don't you both pick a spot to get comfortable?" Zara suggested, pulling out the books she'd brought. "We'll start with a story for both of you, and then I have special ones for each of you." As the children settled on the couch, Marcus hovered uncertainly. Would you like me to make coffee or something? Or do you need anything?" Zara sensed his discomfort, the feeling of being an outsider in this moment. "Actually," she said gently, "the best thing would be if you joined us. These stories are for the whole family." Relief washed over his face as he settled into an armchair. "I'd like that. It's been a while since I got to just listen to someone else read." Zara began with The Night Gardener, a beautifully illustrated story about a mysterious gardener who creates magical topiary art overnight, transforming a dreary town into a place of wonder. The children were immediately captivated by the illustrations, and even Marcus leaned forward, drawn into the story. As Zara read, she infused the story with different voices for each character, pausing at just the right moments to build suspense and asking the children questions about what they thought might happen next. Ethan wiggled with excitement during the dramatic parts, while Lily watched with rapt attention, her eyes wide. After finishing the shared story, Zara pulled out Ada Twist, Scientist for Ethan and Wilma Unlimited for Lily, stories about persistent, clever protagonists who overcame challenges. She had chosen them carefully, thinking about what each child might need. "Ethan, would you like to read Ada Twist together? And then while your dad helps you brush your teeth, I can read with Lily?" The boy nodded enthusiastically and they began the story together, with Ethan sounding out simpler words and Zara helping with the harder ones. Marcus watched them with a soft expression, something like wonder crossing his face as he observed his son's engagement. When they finished, Marcus stood. "Bathroom mission time, buddy. Let's get those teeth sparkling." As they disappeared down the hall, Zara turned to Lily. "Ready for your special story?" Lily nodded, moving closer on the couch. "Is it about horses? I really like horses." "This one's about a girl who loved to run," Zara explained, opening the book about Wilma Rudolph. "She was told she might never walk properly, but she became the fastest woman in the world and won Olympic gold medals." As she read, Zara noticed Lily becoming increasingly absorbed in the story, her eyes shining when Wilma overcame her physical challenges and defied expectations. When they reached the part about Wilma's triumph at the Olympics, Lily whispered, "She didn't give up, even when it was hard." "That's right," Zara confirmed softly. "Sometimes the hardest things are the most important to keep trying at." A small creak in the hallway alerted Zara to Marcus's return. He stood watching them, a complicated emotion on his face as he listened to the last pages of Wilma's story. "Time for bed, Lilypad," he said when the story concluded. "Miss Zara needs to get home, and you've got school tomorrow." Lily surprised Zara by giving her a quick, fierce hug. "Thank you for the stories," she whispered, "especially Wilma's." "You're very welcome," Zara replied, returning the hug gently. "It was my pleasure." After Lily headed to her room, Ethan reappeared for a final good night, his energy seemingly undiminished despite the late hour. "Can you come again tomorrow?" he asked hopefully. Marcus cleared his throat. "Miss Zara has her own life, buddy. We can't expect her to—" "I could come again next week," Zara offered. "Maybe we could make it a regular Tuesday thing, if that works for your dad, of course." Marcus looked at her with naked gratitude. "That would be really great, actually. Tuesday is my late night at the office, so we're usually pretty rushed with bedtime." After both children were tucked in, Marcus walked Zara to the door. "I can't tell you what this means," he said quietly. "It's the first bedtime in months that hasn't involved tears or arguments." "They're wonderful children," Zara said sincerely. "You're doing a great job with them, especially under the circumstances." Marcus leaned against the door frame, fatigue evident in the slump of his shoulders. "Some days I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water. Everything's so much harder than I expected. The practical stuff, sure, but also the emotional weight of it all. Being both parents, trying to help them process their mom leaving without saying things that will damage their relationship with her forever." He trailed off, running a hand over his face. "Sorry. I didn't mean to dump all that on you." "Don't apologize," Zara said gently. "Everyone needs someone to talk to sometimes." A sad smile touched his lips. "Haven't had much of that lately. Most of my friends kind of faded away after Denise left. People don't know what to say, I guess." Zara thought for a moment, then reached into her tote bag for her personal copy of a book. "This might help," she said, handing him Raising Kids with Character by Thomas Licona. "It's not preachy, just practical, and it has good sections on helping children through family transitions." Marcus accepted the book, his fingers brushing against hers in the exchange. "Thank you. For everything." "See you at the library on Thursday?" Zara asked. "We'll be there," he promised. Ethan already has it marked on the calendar with 3 exclamation points. As Zara made her way home on the subway, she found herself thinking about the family she'd just left. There was something about them that resonated with her, perhaps because her own father had raised her after her mother died when Zara was 10. She remembered the struggle in his eyes, so similar to what she now saw in Marcus's. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Marcus. "Kids both fell asleep right away. Magic. Thank you again. P.S. Lily asked if you could teach me how to do better braids sometime. No pressure, just passing along the request." Zara smiled, her dimples deepening as she typed her response. "Happy to help with braids. YouTube is great, but sometimes you need hands-on demonstration. Tuesday next week works for me. Early enough for hair lessons before story time?" His reply came quickly. "That would be amazing. Name your price in coffee or baked goods." "Just your continued patronage of our fine library establishment," she texted back, still smiling. As the subway rattled toward her stop, Zara realized she was looking forward to next Tuesday with surprising enthusiasm. There was something special about this little family, something that called to her heart in a way she hadn't experienced before. It was more than professional satisfaction at helping a family in need. It was a genuine connection that felt like it might grow into something important. The following Tuesday arrived with a spring downpour that turned the city streets into rushing rivulets. Zara hurried from the subway station to Marcus's apartment building, her umbrella battling against the wind. She was eager to see the children again, and if she was honest with herself, Marcus too. There was something compelling about his determined struggle to create stability for his family. She arrived 10 minutes early, shaking raindrops from her umbrella in the lobby before buzzing apartment 4C. "You're early!" Marcus's voice came through the intercom, sounding slightly panicked. "We're still in dinner chaos mode." "I'm happy to wait in the lobby," Zara offered. "Don't be ridiculous. Come on up and join the chaos." When she reached their door, the scent of something burning greeted her before Marcus did. He stood in the doorway looking harried, a dish towel slung over his shoulder and a smudge of what might have been tomato sauce on his cheek. "Welcome to Tuesday night dinner disaster," he said with a self-deprecating smile. "Hope you like your pasta extra crispy." "Dad burned the garlic bread," Ethan announced from behind him, his face appearing at waist level. "Again." "Third time this month," Lily added, coming to stand beside her brother. "But the spaghetti is okay." Marcus shrugged helplessly. "I get distracted with helping them finish homework and then suddenly the smoke alarm is going off." "Multitasking is an acquired skill," Zara said sympathetically, stepping inside. "I once ruined 3 pots in a month trying to cook while studying for finals." The apartment looked different in the early evening light, messier, but more lived in. School books and papers were spread across the dining table, and the kitchen counter was cluttered with dinner preparation. A pot of spaghetti sat on the stove, and a baking sheet with blackened bread occupied the sink, soaking. "We're almost done with dinner," Marcus said apologetically. "Would you like some spaghetti? There's plenty, and only the bread was sacrificed to the cooking gods." Zara's first instinct was to politely decline, but the hopeful look on the children's faces changed her mind. "I'd love some, thank you. Can I help with anything?" "You can sit by me," Lily offered quietly, taking Zara's hand and leading her to the table. "Dad, we need to clear my homework." Marcus hurried to help gather Lily's papers, stacking them neatly to one side. "Sorry about the mess. Tuesday is my late day at the office, so everything's compressed into a shorter time frame." "It's perfectly fine," Zara assured him, setting her bag of books beside the couch. "Real life is messy." As Marcus served the spaghetti, Zara noticed the strain in his movements, the slight tremor in his hands that spoke of exhaustion. Yet he still took care to give Ethan the blue plate he clearly preferred and to make sure Lily's pasta was cut into manageable bites. "So, what's happening at the library these days, Miss Zara?" Marcus asked as they began eating. "We're planning our summer reading program," she replied, twirling spaghetti around her fork. "This year's theme is Reading Takes You Places. We'll have lots of activities about different countries and cultures." "Can we go, Dad?" Ethan asked immediately, sauce rimming his mouth. "Absolutely," Marcus nodded. "We'll need activities to keep you busy during summer break." A shadow crossed his face, especially since it looks like your mom's visit might not happen after all. The children's expressions fell, and Zara's heart ached for them. Lily pushed her pasta around her plate, suddenly less interested in eating. "She said maybe August now," Marcus continued, clearly trying to keep his tone neutral. "She's got a new job that makes July difficult." "She always says maybe and then doesn't come," Ethan muttered, his earlier enthusiasm evaporating. Zara could feel the fragility of the moment, the way disappointment hung heavy in the air. "You know," she said carefully, "the library will have a special section for the summer program about letter writing. People used to write letters all the time before phones and computers. There's something really special about getting a real letter in the mail." "Like with stamps and everything?" Ethan asked, distracted from his disappointment. "Exactly," Zara nodded. "Maybe that would be a nice way to keep in touch with your mom, even when she can't visit. You could tell her about all the fun things you're doing." Marcus gave Zara a grateful look across the table. "That's a great idea. We could get some nice stationery this weekend." "I could draw pictures to send her," Lily suggested, her voice small but hopeful. "She'd love that, Lily Pad," Marcus assured her. The moment of tension passed, and the conversation drifted to other topics. Ethan's upcoming field trip to the Natural History Museum, Lily's art project at school, and Marcus's new design assignment at work. After dinner, Zara insisted on helping with the dishes while Marcus got the children started on their bedtime routine. As she scraped plates and loaded the dishwasher, she noticed the calendar on the refrigerator, covered with color-coded notes and reminders: blue for Ethan, pink for Lily, green for Marcus. Every day was packed with activities, appointments, and deadlines. No wonder he looked so exhausted. When Marcus returned to the kitchen, he surveyed her progress with the dishes and shook his head in amazement. "You didn't have to do that, but thank you." "Happy to help," Zara replied, rinsing the last fork. "You've got a lot on your plate, literally and figuratively." Marcus leaned against the counter, running a hand through his hair. "It's the logistics that kill me. Remembering which day is library book return and which day is gym shoes and when the permission slips are due, not to mention my own work deadlines." "Your calendar system looks pretty organized," Zara observed, nodding toward the refrigerator. "That was Denise's system," he admitted. "I'm trying to maintain it, but I miss things. Last week I sent Ethan to school with an empty lunchbox because I forgot to pack it the night before." Zara dried her hands on a dish towel. "Have you tried involving the kids in some of the preparation? Even at their ages, they could help with simple things." "Like what?" "Well, Ethan could be responsible for putting his homework in his backpack each night, and Lily could pick out her clothes for the next day," Zara suggested. "It gives them some control, which kids often need, and takes a few tasks off your list." Marcus looked at her thoughtfully. "That's actually a really good idea. I've been trying to do everything myself because I thought that's what they needed. Stability, routine, but maybe they need to feel like they're part of the solution too." "Exactly," Zara nodded. "And speaking of solutions, shall we work on those braiding skills before story time?" Marcus's face lit up with genuine enthusiasm. "Yes, please. Lily's been looking forward to it all day." In the bathroom, Lily sat on a stool in front of the mirror, her hair freshly washed and combed. Zara stood behind her, with Marcus watching carefully from the doorway. "The key to a good braid is even tension," Zara explained, separating Lily's hair into 3 sections. "Not too tight at the scalp, that can give her a headache, but firm enough to hold together." She demonstrated slowly, naming each step as she worked. "Cross the right section over the middle, now the left over the middle. See how I'm keeping the sections separate with my fingers? That's important." Marcus watched with intense concentration, as if memorizing every movement. When Zara had completed one side of Lily's head, she undid the second side she'd started earlier. "Your turn," she said, stepping back to make room for Marcus. He approached nervously, his large hands looking almost comically oversized next to Lily's delicate head. But as he began separating the hair into sections, Zara noticed how gentle his touch was, how carefully he handled each strand. "Like this?" he asked, making the first crossover. "Perfect," Zara encouraged. "Now left over middle, and keep the tension even." His fingers fumbled a bit, but he persisted, his brow furrowed in concentration. Lily sat patiently, her eyes meeting Zara's in the mirror with a small smile. "Dad, you're doing it right," she said, her voice filled with quiet pride. Marcus's face softened, and his movements became more confident. When he finished, the braid was slightly lopsided but definitely recognizable. "Look at that," Zara said warmly. "You're a natural." "It's still not as good as yours," he said, examining his work critically. "But it's way better than yesterday," Lily declared loyally, "and tomorrow it will be even better." "Practice makes perfect," Zara agreed. "And speaking of practice, I think it's time for some reading practice, don't you?" Ethan had already settled on the couch with his favorite blanket, waiting impatiently for the stories to begin. Tonight, Zara had brought books about rainy days and overcoming challenges, themes that seemed particularly appropriate. As she read, she noticed Marcus watching her intently, studying her techniques just as he had with the braiding. When she paused to ask the children questions about the story, he leaned forward slightly, absorbing their responses and her follow-up questions. After both children were tucked in, Zara and Marcus sat at the kitchen table with cups of tea. The apartment was quiet except for the patter of rain against the windows. "You're really good with them," Marcus said, breaking the comfortable silence. They respond to you in a way they don't with most adults." Zara smiled, her dimples appearing briefly. "They're wonderful kids. Smart, sensitive, resilient." "Resilient," Marcus repeated, rolling the word over his tongue. "I hope so. That's what keeps me up at night, you know. Wondering if they'll be okay, if this whole situation will leave them damaged." "Children are remarkably adaptable," Zara said gently, "especially when they have a parent who's clearly devoted to them." Marcus stared into his tea. "I'm trying. God knows I'm trying. But some days I feel like I'm failing them at every turn." "From what I can see, you're doing an amazing job under incredibly difficult circumstances," Zara said firmly. "Perfect parenting is a myth, Marcus. All any of us can do is our best." He looked up, meeting her eyes. "Thank you. For the braiding lesson, for the stories, for the dishes, for everything." "That's what friends are for," Zara replied simply. A small smile played at the corners of his mouth. "Is that what we are? Friends?" "I'd like to think so," she said, her dimples appearing again as she smiled. "Unless you prefer that library lady who invades your Tuesday evenings?" Marcus laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "Friends is definitely better." Over the next few weeks, Tuesday evenings became a cherished routine. Zara would arrive around 6, sometimes joining them for dinner, which gradually improved as Marcus gained confidence in the kitchen, and then help with homework before their storytime ritual. She taught Marcus more hairstyling techniques for Lily, showed Ethan tricks for remembering his spelling words, and gradually helped the whole family establish smoother routines for mornings and bedtimes. On this particular Tuesday in late April, Zara arrived to find the apartment unusually quiet. Marcus opened the door, his expression tight with worry. "What's wrong?" Zara asked immediately, setting down her bag of books. "Lily's not feeling well," he explained, leading her into the living room where Ethan was solemnly building with Legos. "She started running a fever at school. The nurse called me to pick her up." "Poor thing," Zara said sympathetically. "Is she sleeping?" Marcus nodded. "For now. I gave her children's Tylenol, but I'm not sure what else to do. She's never really been sick before, at least not while it's just been me." The anxiety in his voice was palpable. Zara could see how this unexpected illness had shaken his precarious confidence. "May I check on her?" she asked gently. Marcus looked relieved. "Would you? I've been in there every 5 minutes, but I'm worried I'm missing something." Zara followed him to Lily's bedroom, a small space decorated with horse posters and fairy lights. Lily lay curled on her side, her cheeks flushed with fever, her breathing slightly labored. Zara placed a gentle hand on the child's forehead. "She's still quite warm. Do you have a thermometer?" Marcus produced one from his pocket. "It was 101.3 about 20 minutes ago." "Let's check again," Zara suggested. When the thermometer beeped, it read 102.1. "It's gone up a bit. Has she been drinking water?" "I tried, but she was too sleepy," Marcus said, his brow furrowed with concern. "When she wakes up, we'll need to get some fluids into her," Zara said. "Do you have any Pedialyte or sports drinks?" Marcus shook his head. "I should have thought of that. I could run to the store." "Why don't I go?" Zara offered. "You should stay with the kids. Make a list of anything else you might need and I'll pick it up." Relief washed over Marcus's face. "Are you sure? That would be amazing." While Marcus made a list, Zara spoke quietly with Ethan, explaining that his sister needed extra rest and quiet. The boy nodded solemnly, promising to use his indoor voice and to help any way he could. "You're being a very good brother," Zara assured him, touched by his earnest desire to help. At the store, Zara filled a basket with Pedialyte, crackers, a new coloring book and crayons for Lily, herbal tea, and some easy-to-prepare soups. On impulse, she also grabbed a soft plush horse, remembering Lily's love for them. When she returned to the apartment, she found Marcus sitting on the edge of Lily's bed, reading softly to her. The little girl was awake but lethargic, her eyes glassy with fever. "Look who's back," Marcus said, relief evident in his voice. "Miss Zara brought some things to help you feel better." Lily managed a weak smile as Zara entered with the Pedialyte and the plush horse. "This is for you," Zara said, handing her the stuffed animal. "Every patient needs a special friend to keep them company." Lily hugged the horse to her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. "And this will help you feel better," Zara continued, pouring a small amount of Pedialyte into a cup. "Just little sips, okay?" She helped Lily sit up enough to drink, while Marcus watched attentively, clearly taking mental notes on how to care for his sick child. After a few sips, Lily lay back against her pillows, her eyes already drooping. "Rest is the best medicine," Zara said softly, adjusting the covers around the little girl. "We'll check on you again soon." In the living room, Ethan had set up an elaborate Lego hospital. "It's for Lily's horse," he explained seriously, "in case it gets sick too." "That's very thoughtful," Zara said, sitting beside him on the floor. "Would you like to hear a story while your sister rests?" While Marcus prepared some soup in the kitchen, Zara read quietly to Ethan, helping him stay occupied and calm despite the disruption to their usual routine. She could see the tension in Marcus's shoulders gradually easing as the evening progressed in a manageable way, despite Lily's illness. After Ethan was tucked into bed, Zara found Marcus checking on Lily again. The little girl's fever had come down slightly, and she was sleeping more peacefully, the plush horse still clutched in her arms. "You're a natural at this, you know," Marcus said quietly as they returned to the living room. "The caretaking, the knowing what to do, it all just seems to come instinctively to you." Zara smiled softly. "It's not instinct so much as experience. I helped care for my younger cousins a lot growing up, and children's needs are pretty universal: comfort, security, attention." Marcus sank onto the couch, suddenly looking exhausted. "I panicked today. When the school called, my first thought was, I can't do this. Not my poor baby, or how can I help her? But I can't handle this on my own." Shame colored his voice. "What kind of father thinks that way?" "A human one," Zara said gently, sitting beside him. "A single parent who's already carrying an enormous load. Being scared doesn't make you a bad father, Marcus. It makes you normal." He rubbed his hands over his face. "I keep waiting for it to get easier, for some magic moment when I'll feel like I know what I'm doing. But it's been 6 months, and I still feel like I'm barely treading water." Zara was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "I think that might be parenthood in general, not just single parenthood. My dad raised me alone after my mom died, and he told me once that he never stopped feeling overwhelmed. He just got better at hiding it." Marcus looked up, surprised. "Your dad raised you alone? You never mentioned that before." "My mom died when I was 10, Zara explained. "Cancer. It was just my dad and me after that." "I'm so sorry," Marcus said softly. "That must have been incredibly hard." Zara nodded. "It was. For both of us. But looking back, I can see how many things he got right, even when he thought he was messing up. He showed up every day. He tried his best. He loved me fiercely." She met Marcus's eyes. "That's what you're doing for Lily and Ethan, and that's what matters most." "Thank you," Marcus whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "For saying that, for being here tonight. I don't know what I would have done without you." "You would have figured it out," Zara assured him. "But I'm glad I could help." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes before Zara reluctantly checked her watch. "I should probably get going. It's getting late." Marcus walked her to the door. "Same time next Tuesday?" he asked, a hint of vulnerability in his question. "I wouldn't miss it," Zara promised. "Text me tomorrow to let me know how Lily's doing?" "I will," he nodded. "Good night, Zara." "Good night, Marcus." As Zara made her way home on the subway, she found herself thinking about the evening, not just about Lily's illness, but about the trust Marcus had shown in letting her help, in revealing his fears and insecurities. It felt significant, this deepening of their friendship. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Checked on Lily again. Temp down to 100.2. She's sleeping peacefully with Honey. The horse has been named. Thank you again for tonight. You're a lifesaver. Zara smiled, her dimples appearing as she typed back. So glad she's improving. Honey is a perfect name. Try to get some rest yourself. 3 dots appeared as Marcus typed a response. I will. You know, tonight made me realize something. Before you came into our lives, I was just surviving day to day. But now, I think we might actually be starting to live again. Thank you for that gift. Zara felt a warmth spread through her chest as she read his words. What had started as a simple offer to help with bedtime stories had evolved into something much more meaningful, a genuine connection with a family that was beginning to feel like an important part of her life. By the following Tuesday, Lily had fully recovered, and the evening routine resumed with an added level of comfort and familiarity. As Zara helped Ethan with his reading, she noticed Marcus watching them with a soft expression, one that made her heart beat a little faster when their eyes met across the room. The following week brought a new development. As Zara arrived for their usual Tuesday evening, Marcus met her at the door with an unusual request. I hate to ask this, he began, looking apologetic, but my boss just called with an emergency client situation. I need to go into the office for a couple of hours. Would you mind staying with the kids until I get back? I completely understand if you can't. Of course I can, Zara interrupted gently. That's not a problem at all. Relief flooded his face. You're sure? I shouldn't be more than 2 hours, 3 at most. We'll be fine, Zara assured him. Go take care of your work emergency. After Marcus left, Zara helped the children with homework, then supervised bath time, a first for her with these kids, and finally settled them in for their usual story time. There was something profoundly intimate about being trusted with these bedtime rituals, about being the one to make sure teeth were brushed and pajamas were on correctly. When is Dad coming home? Ethan asked as Zara tucked him into bed. Soon, she promised. He had some important work to finish. Are you going to be our new mom? The question came out of nowhere, catching Zara completely off guard. No, Ethan. I'm your friend. Your dad's friend, too. But you do mom things, he persisted. You help with homework and read stories and make dinner sometimes. And Dad smiles more when you're here. Zara chose her words carefully, aware of the delicate territory. There are many different kinds of important people in our lives, Ethan. I care about you and Lily and your dad very much, and I like helping out. But that doesn't make me your mom. Okay, he said, seeming satisfied with the answer. But you're still coming on Tuesdays, right? Absolutely, Zara assured him, relieved at the simpler question. Now get some sleep. I'll be in the living room if you need anything. After both children were asleep, Zara settled on the couch with a book from Marcus's shelf. The apartment was quiet, except for the distant sounds of city traffic and the gentle hum of the refrigerator. It felt strange to be here without Marcus, yet somehow not uncomfortable. She had become familiar with this space, with its quirks and comforts. When Marcus finally returned, looking tired but relieved, it was nearly 11. I'm so sorry, he said, setting down his laptop bag. The client had a complete meltdown about the design concept, and we had to rework everything. No need to apologize, Zara assured him. The kids were great, both asleep by 8:30. Marcus sank onto the couch beside her, loosening his tie. You're amazing, you know that? Stepping in like this, making everything work so smoothly. Happy to help, Zara said sincerely. That's what friends do. Friends, Marcus repeated softly, as if testing the word. Zara, I want you to know how much your friendship means to me, to all of us. These past weeks have been... I don't even have the words. The intensity in his eyes made something flutter in Zara's chest. "It means a lot to me, too," she admitted. "More than I expected when I first offered to help with bedtime stories." For a moment they sat in silence, something unspoken hanging in the air between them. Then Marcus cleared his throat. "It's late. Let me call you a car service." "The subway is fine," Zara began, but Marcus shook his head. "Please. It's the least I can do after you saved the day." As they waited for the car to arrive, Marcus asked hesitantly, "Would you maybe like to get coffee sometime? Just the two of us?" A flush crept up his neck. "No pressure at all. I just thought it might be nice to talk without interruptions about dinosaurs or who took whose pencil." Zara's dimples appeared as she smiled. "I'd like that very much." The coffee shop was tucked between a vintage record store and a florist, its large windows allowing spring sunlight to spill across wooden tables. Zara arrived a few minutes early, selecting a quiet corner table where they could talk without too much background noise. She felt unaccountably nervous, smoothing her dress and checking her reflection in the darkened screen of her phone. This wasn't a date, she reminded herself, just coffee between friends. Yet the flutter in her stomach suggested her subconscious had other ideas. Marcus arrived precisely on time, slightly out of breath as if he'd hurried. "Sorry," he said, sliding into the chair across from her. "Babysitter was running late." "No worries," Zara assured him. "I just got here myself." He looked different outside the context of the library or his apartment, more polished in dark jeans and a button-down shirt, yet somehow more vulnerable too. This was the first time they'd met without the children as a buffer, and a new awareness hummed between them. "Thanks for suggesting this," Zara said, breaking the momentary silence. "It's nice to have an adult conversation without little ears listening." Marcus laughed, relaxing slightly. "Exactly. Though I have to admit I've gotten so used to censoring myself that I might struggle to remember how adults talk. Let's see. We could discuss mortgage rates or complain about our backs hurting," Zara suggested with a playful smile, her dimples appearing. "Thrilling," Marcus deadpanned, then his expression softened. "Actually, I'd love to know more about you. We've spent all this time together, but it's mostly been focused on the kids." Their conversation flowed easily as they ordered coffee and pastries. Zara told him about growing up in Philadelphia with her father, her decision to study library science after a childhood spent finding solace in books, and her dream of someday writing children's books herself. "You'd be amazing at that," Marcus said with genuine enthusiasm. "The way you read stories, how you engage with the kids, you have a gift." "What about you?" Zara asked, warming under his praise. "Did you always want to be a graphic designer?" Marcus shook his head. "Actually, I started out wanting to be an illustrator for children's books. Life took me in a different direction, more commercial work, better pay, but I still do some illustration on the side." "Really?" Zara's eyes widened with interest. "I'd love to see your work sometime." A shadow crossed Marcus's face. "I haven't done much lately. After Denise left, I don't know. The creative spark kind of dimmed." Zara reached across the table on impulse, briefly touching his hand. "That makes sense. Major life changes affect every part of us." Marcus glanced down at her hand, then back up to her face. "Yeah. But lately, I've been feeling the urge to draw again. Maybe it's seeing how the kids respond to the books you bring, or just feeling like we're finally finding our footing." Their conversation shifted to books they loved, films they'd seen, places they hoped to visit someday. As they talked, Zara noticed how Marcus's whole demeanor had changed from when they first met. There was still fatigue around his eyes, but the desperate edge had softened, replaced by something warmer, more hopeful. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said after a brief lull in conversation. "It's a bit personal." "Of course," Zara nodded, curious. "How did your dad do it? Raise you on his own after your mom died? Did he ever remarry or find someone?" The question caught Zara off guard, not because it was intrusive but because of the vulnerability behind it. "He never remarried," she answered thoughtfully. "There were a few relationships over the years, but nothing that stuck. I think he was afraid, in a way, worried about disrupting the stability we'd built together, or maybe just never finding someone who understood what we'd been through." She traced the rim of her coffee cup, collecting her thoughts. "But looking back, I wish he had found someone. Not to replace my mom, no one could do that, but for himself. He was so focused on being a good father that he sometimes forgot to take care of his own needs." Marcus was quiet, absorbing her words. "That's what scares me," he finally admitted. "The idea of being alone forever, but also the fear of bringing someone new into our lives who might not understand what the kids need, or might leave again." He trailed off, looking embarrassed. "Sorry, that's probably too heavy for coffee." "Not at all," Zara said gently. "These are real concerns. Anyone who's been through what you have would have them." "Have you ever thought about having kids?" Marcus asked, then immediately backtracked. "That's too personal. You don't have to." "It's okay," Zara smiled. "Yes, I have. I've always wanted children. It's part of why I became a children's librarian. I love being around kids, watching them discover the world through stories." Something shifted in Marcus's expression, a softening around his eyes. "You're a natural with them. Lily and Ethan adore you." "The feeling is mutual," Zara said sincerely. "They're amazing kids." The conversation moved to lighter topics, but something had changed. A deeper understanding, perhaps, or an acknowledgement of possibilities neither was quite ready to name. When they finally left the coffee shop, almost 3 hours had passed without either noticing the time. Outside, they paused awkwardly, neither quite ready to say goodbye. "I had a really nice time," Marcus said, his hands in his pockets. "Me too," Zara replied, her dimples appearing as she smiled up at him. "Maybe we could do this again?" he suggested, a hint of nervousness in his voice. "There's a small art gallery near my office that's featuring children's book illustrations next weekend. If you're interested..." "I'd love that," Zara said without hesitation. They stood looking at each other a moment longer, hovering on the edge of something new. Then Marcus leaned forward and gently kissed her cheek, his lips warm against her skin. "Thank you," he murmured, "for everything." The simple gesture left Zara feeling lighter than air as she made her way home, her hand occasionally rising to touch the spot where his lips had been. The following Tuesday, there was a subtle shift in their dynamic. The routine remained the same: dinner, homework help, story time. But small moments of connection peppered the evening. Their hands brushing as they both reached for the salt shaker, a shared smile over Ethan's dramatic retelling of a playground incident, the way Marcus's eyes lingered on her face as she read to the children. After the kids were in bed, Marcus showed Zara his portfolio of illustrations, whimsical drawings of animals having adventures, detailed fantasy landscapes, and tender scenes of family life. His talent was evident, his style distinct and appealing. "These are wonderful," Zara said with genuine admiration, carefully turning the pages. "You really should be illustrating children's books." "Maybe someday," Marcus said, watching her face as she examined his work. "When things settle down a bit more." "You know," Zara said thoughtfully, "the library hosts local artist exhibitions sometimes. We have a small gallery space that features work by community members. Would you consider showing some of these?" Marcus looked startled. "Me? I don't know. It's been years since I've shown my work publicly." "Just think about it," Zara encouraged. "Your style would resonate with our patrons, especially families with children." Before he could respond, Lily appeared in the doorway, her face tear-streaked. "Dad? I had a bad dream." Marcus was immediately on his feet, crossing to his daughter and kneeling to her level. "Want to talk about it, Lilypad?" She shook her head, burying her face against his shoulder. "Can I just stay up for a little while?" Of course, he soothed, lifting her easily and carrying her to the couch. Just for a few minutes, though. School tomorrow. Zara began gathering her things, sensing the evening was coming to a natural close. "I should head out," she said softly. "Let you two have some quiet time." Lily lifted her head from Marcus's shoulder. "Can Miss Zara stay?" she asked, her voice small and vulnerable. "She makes the bad feelings go away." The simple statement made Zara's heart swell. "I can stay a little longer," she said, settling back down. Marcus mouthed a thank you over Lily's head, gratitude evident in his eyes. Together they sat with the little girl between them, Zara gently stroking her hair while Marcus held her hand. No stories, no activities, just presence, the comfort of being together in the quiet evening. When Lily finally dozed off again, Marcus carried her back to bed. When he returned, his expression was thoughtful. "She's never asked for anyone but me before when she has nightmares." "Is that okay?" Zara asked, suddenly uncertain. "I don't want to overstep." "It's more than okay," Marcus assured her. It means she trusts you, that she feels safe with you." He paused, struggling to find the right words. After Denise left, both kids were so shaken. Lily especially. She stopped talking to anyone but me and Ethan for weeks. Seeing her open up to you like this, it means everything. The vulnerability in his voice moved Zara deeply. "They're remarkable children," she said softly. "Resilient and loving, despite everything they've been through. That's a testament to you, Marcus." He shook his head slightly. "I can't take all the credit. They're just themselves. Amazing little people who somehow keep going, keep loving, even when the world turns upside down." He met her eyes directly. "But things have been better since you came into our lives. Calmer, happier." The moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken emotions. Zara found herself leaning slightly forward, drawn by the warmth in his eyes. Marcus hesitated, then slowly closed the distance between them. Their first kiss was gentle, tentative, a question more than a declaration. When they pulled apart, both were smiling softly, a little dazed. "I've been wanting to do that for weeks," Marcus admitted, his voice low. "Me too," Zara confessed, her dimples deepening. He reached up to trace one dimple with his thumb, the gesture achingly tender. "These were the first thing I noticed about you, you know. Your smile lights up your whole face." Zara caught his hand, pressing it briefly against her cheek before reluctantly standing. "I really should go. It's getting late." "I know," Marcus sighed, rising to walk her to the door. "Same time next Tuesday?" "Actually," Zara said carefully, "I was thinking, maybe this weekend we could take the kids to the park. If the weather's nice, they could play, and we could talk more about that gallery idea." The suggestion, their first planned outing as a foursome, felt significant, a step toward something neither was quite ready to name but both were beginning to hope for. "They'd love that," Marcus said, his smile revealing how much he would too. "Sunday afternoon?" "Perfect," Zara nodded, retrieving her coat from the hook by the door. As they said goodnight, their second kiss was less hesitant than the first, a promise perhaps of possibilities to come. Zara carried the warmth of it with her all the way home, like a talisman against the cool spring night. Sunday dawned clear and bright, perfect weather for their park outing. Zara arrived at the agreed-upon playground to find Marcus already there, helping Ethan navigate the monkey bars while Lily waited patiently for her turn. The sight of them together, this little family that had come to mean so much to her, made Zara's heart swell with affection. "Miss Zara!" Ethan spotted her first, dropping from the bars and racing toward her. "Dad said you're spending the whole day with us." "That's the plan," she confirmed, accepting his enthusiastic hug. "I thought we could have a picnic lunch after you play for a while." Lily approached more sedately but with equal enthusiasm, taking Zara's hand as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I wore the braids you taught Dad to do, she said, turning her head to display the neat plaits. He's getting really good. I can see that. Zara smiled, admiring Marcus's handiwork. Very impressive. Marcus joined them, looking relaxed in jeans and a faded t-shirt, his smile warm. Hey, he said softly, leaning in to kiss her cheek. Glad you made it. The children, already accustomed to their growing closeness, didn't react to the affectionate gesture, instead tugging Zara toward the playground equipment. Come push me on the swing, Miss Zara, Ethan insisted. As the day unfolded in a pleasant rhythm of play, picnicking, and conversation, Zara found herself marveling at how natural it all felt, as if they'd been doing this for years instead of mere months. The children moved between her and Marcus with easy familiarity, and she found herself instinctively anticipating their needs, offering Lily a tissue before she even asked, remembering that Ethan preferred his sandwich cut into triangles, not squares. Later, as the children played with other kids at the sandbox, Zara and Marcus sat on a nearby bench, their shoulders touching comfortably. This is nice, Marcus said quietly, watching his children play. Really nice. It is, Zara agreed, her dimples appearing as she smiled. They're happier, he observed. I am too. He turned to look at her directly. Because of you. The simple statement held such weight, such honesty, that Zara felt momentarily breathless. Marcus, You don't have to say anything, he interrupted gently. I just wanted you to know that. Whatever happens with us, you've already given us so much. You've helped us find our way back to happiness. Zara reached for his hand, intertwining their fingers. You've given me something too, you know. All of you have. She glanced at the children, then back to his face. Something I didn't even know I was missing. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the park, they gathered their things and prepared to leave. The children were pleasantly tired from hours of play, Ethan yawning widely as they walked toward the subway station. Can Miss Zara come back with us? Lily asked, holding her father's hand. For dinner and stories? Marcus looked at Zara questioningly, leaving the decision to her. I'd love to, she said, if your dad doesn't mind. Mind? Are you kidding? Marcus laughed. Extra hands for bath time? It's a dream come true. As they made their way home together, moving through the city as a unit, something shifted subtly into place for Zara. A recognition that what had begun as a simple offer to help had grown into something much more profound, something that felt remarkably like family. May blossomed into June, bringing longer days and the promise of summer. Zara's relationship with Marcus and the children deepened with each passing week. Tuesday evenings remained their constant, but now there were also weekend outings, impromptu dinners, and moments stolen for just the two of them. Coffee before work, lunch near Marcus's office, quiet conversations after the children were asleep. One Tuesday evening, as they cleared the dinner dishes together, Marcus seemed preoccupied, his movements distracted and his conversation minimal. Everything okay? Zara asked, drying a plate he'd just washed. He sighed, setting down the sponge. I got a call from the school counselor today. Lily's been having trouble again, withdrawing in class, not participating. The counselor thinks she might be struggling with some delayed reaction to the divorce. Zara placed a hand on his arm. I'm sorry. That must be worrying. It is, he admitted. Just when I thought we were all doing better, this happens. The counselor suggested therapy, but our insurance is complicated, and the waiting lists are long. He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. I feel like I'm failing her. You're not failing anyone, Zara said firmly. You're doing everything you can. Maybe... She hesitated, not wanting to overstep. Maybe I could try talking to her? Sometimes it's easier for kids to open up to someone who isn't their parent. Marcus looked at her with grateful eyes. Would you? She trusts you so much. Of course, Zara nodded. Maybe while you're helping Ethan with his science project tonight. After dinner, while Marcus and Ethan spread materials across the dining table for their solar system model, Zara gently suggested that she and Lily might work on braiding techniques in the little girl's room. Lily agreed readily, always eager to learn new hairstyles. In the privacy of Lily's bedroom, Zara sat on the edge of the bed while the child settled on the floor between her knees, handing her a brush and hair ties. "I was thinking we could try a French braid today," Zara suggested, gently working the brush through Lily's dark hair. "It's a bit more complicated, but I think you're ready for it." Lily nodded, her small shoulders tense beneath her t-shirt. As Zara began separating strands of hair, she spoke casually. "Your dad mentioned you've been having a tough time at school lately." Lily stiffened slightly but didn't respond. "You know," Zara continued, keeping her tone light, "when I was about your age, I went through a really hard time too. My mom got very sick and then she died. After that, I didn't feel like talking to anyone at school for a long time." "Your mom died?" Lily asked quietly. "Yes," Zara confirmed, carefully crossing hair strands. "It was different from your situation. Your mom is still here, just living far away. But I understand what it feels like when someone who's supposed to be there isn't." Lily was silent for a long moment, and Zara didn't push, focusing instead on the intricate braiding pattern. Finally, in a small voice, Lily asked, "Does it ever stop hurting?" The question broke Zara's heart. "The hurt changes," she answered honestly. "It doesn't stay sharp and painful forever. It becomes quieter. And someday, you'll realize that you can think about good memories without feeling sad right away." "Jenny Miller's mom came to career day," Lily said suddenly. "She showed everyone pictures of baby animals because she's a veterinarian. My mom was supposed to come last year, but she canceled, and now she's not even here anymore." Understanding dawned on Zara. "Was there a career day at school recently?" Lily nodded, her head moving slightly under Zara's hands. "Last week. Dad came instead. He showed his drawings and talked about being a designer. It was nice, but it wasn't the same," Zara finished gently. "The other kids kept asking where my mom was," Lily whispered. "I didn't know what to say." Zara secured the end of the braid, then moved to sit beside Lily on the floor, meeting her eyes directly. "That must have been really hard. What did you tell them?" "I said she moved away," Lily replied, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "But then Madison said that means she didn't want to be my mom anymore, and that's why she left." Her voice broke on the last words, tears welling in her eyes. "Oh, Lily," Zara breathed, opening her arms. The little girl fell into them, her small body shaking with suppressed sobs. "Madison is wrong. Your mom's choices weren't about not wanting to be your mom. They were about her own complicated grown-up feelings." "Then why did she go?" Lily cried, her face pressed against Zara's shoulder. "Why doesn't she call more? Why didn't she want to take us with her?" Zara held her close, stroking her back as she cried. "I don't know all the answers, sweetheart. Sometimes adults make choices that are hard for children to understand. But I know this for sure. Nothing about your mom leaving was because of anything you or Ethan did. It wasn't your fault." "Dad says that too," Lily hiccuped. "But sometimes I don't believe it." "I understand," Zara said softly. "It's hard to believe something you feel so differently inside. But your dad is right. And you know what? Your dad is doing an amazing job taking care of you and Ethan. He loves you both so much." Lily nodded against her shoulder. "I know." She pulled back slightly, wiping her eyes. "I was scared to tell Dad about what Madison said. I didn't want to make him sad." "That's very thoughtful of you," Zara said. "But your dad wants to know when you're hurting. That's his job as your parent, to help with the hard stuff." "Would you tell him with me?" Lily asked, her eyes still damp. "I don't know how to start." "Absolutely," Zara promised. "Whenever you're ready." Lily took a deep breath, squaring her small shoulders. "I think I'm ready now." Together they found Marcus in the living room, where he and Ethan had completed the base of their solar system model. Seeing their serious expressions, Marcus immediately set down the paintbrush he was holding. "Everything okay?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. "Lily has something she'd like to talk about," Zara said gently, her hand on the little girl's shoulder. With Zara's encouragement, Lily explained about career day, Madison's hurtful words, and the feelings she'd been keeping inside. Marcus listened intently, his face a study in controlled emotion, pain at his daughter's suffering, anger at the thoughtless comment, and deep love for the small person trusting him with her heart. When Lily finished speaking, Marcus knelt in front of her, taking her hands in his. "Thank you for telling me," he said, his voice thick. "I'm so sorry you've been carrying this all alone." "I didn't want to make you sad," Lily admitted. "You already have to do everything now that Mom's gone." "Hey," Marcus said firmly, "listen to me. You and Ethan are the most important people in my life. Nothing, not work, not being tired, nothing, is more important than how you're feeling. I want to know when things are hard. That's what dads are for." Lily threw her arms around his neck, and he held her tightly, his eyes meeting Zara's over the child's shoulder. The gratitude in his gaze was immeasurable. Later, after both children were asleep, Marcus and Zara sat close together on the couch, his arm around her shoulders, her head resting against him. "Thank you," he said softly, "for getting her to open up, for knowing what to say." "I just listened," Zara replied. "That's often all children need, to know their feelings are valid and they're not alone in them." Marcus was quiet for a moment, his fingers absently tracing patterns on her arm. "You know, after what happened with Denise, I was so focused on the practical stuff, finding an apartment, setting up new schools, getting the custody arrangement sorted, that I think I missed some of the emotional fallout. I kept waiting for things to stabilize, thinking once we had routines established, the feelings would sort themselves out." "That's natural," Zara assured him. "You were in survival mode." "Maybe," he conceded. "But seeing Lily tonight, I realized that the hurt doesn't just go away with time. It needs to be acknowledged, worked through." He turned to look directly at her. "I'm not sure I would have understood that without you." "You would have figured it out," Zara said, echoing words she'd said to him before. "You're a wonderful father, Marcus." He shook his head slightly. "I'm trying to be. But having you here, seeing how you connect with them, how you understand what they need sometimes before I do, it's changed everything." The intensity in his eyes made Zara's breath catch. "I care about them," she said simply. "About all of you." Marcus's hand came up to cup her cheek, his thumb tracing the dimple that appeared as she smiled. "I think it's more than that," he said quietly. "I think this is becoming something neither of us expected but both of us needed." Zara covered his hand with hers, acknowledging the truth of his words. "Yes," she agreed softly. "It is." Their kiss was deeper than previous ones, filled with newfound understanding and growing emotion. When they finally parted, both were slightly breathless. "Stay," Marcus whispered. "Not for anything. Just stay. I sleep better when you're here." The request was vulnerable, honest, not about physical intimacy but emotional connection. Zara considered briefly, then nodded. "I'll stay." That night, they slept side by side, fully clothed on top of his bed covers, his arm around her waist, her back against his chest. It was the most intimate moment they'd shared, not for what it might lead to, but for what it represented. Trust, comfort, the tentative building of something that felt like home. In the morning, Zara woke before the others, slipping quietly into the kitchen to start breakfast. By the time Marcus emerged, bleary-eyed but smiling, she had coffee brewing and pancake batter ready. "Good morning," he said, coming up behind her to kiss her cheek. "This is a nice surprise." "I thought the kids might enjoy pancakes before school," she explained. pouring batter onto the hot griddle. "And I know you have that big presentation today, so I figured a good breakfast wouldn't hurt." Marcus looked at her with something like wonder. "How do you remember these things?" "I mentioned that presentation once, weeks ago." Zara shrugged, flipping a pancake. "I pay attention to what matters to you." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "You're incredible, you know that?" Before she could respond, Ethan's voice came from the doorway. "Why is Miss Zara making breakfast? Did she have a sleepover?" Marcus released her, turning to face his son. "Yes, she stayed over last night. Is that okay with you?" Ethan considered this for a moment, then nodded decisively. "Yes. Her pancakes are better than yours." Zara laughed, her dimples appearing. "High praise indeed." Lily appeared next, her expression lighting up when she saw Zara at the stove. "You're still here?" "I am," Zara confirmed. "I thought we could all have breakfast together before you go to school and your dad goes to his big meeting." "And then will you be here when we get home?" Lily asked hopefully. Zara glanced at Marcus, who gave a small nod. "If you'd like me to be," she replied. "Yes," Ethan cheered. "And can we have spaghetti for dinner? Dad always cooks it too long and it gets mushy." "Betrayed by my own children," Marcus sighed dramatically, but his eyes were bright with happiness as he helped set the table. As they ate breakfast together, Zara found herself observing this little family. No, this family that was somehow becoming hers too. Ethan chattering about his science project, Lily showing her father the French braid that had survived the night, Marcus looking more rested and content than she'd ever seen him. There was still healing to be done, still challenges to face, but in this moment, the kitchen filled with morning light and laughter, everything felt possible. After the children left for school and Marcus for work, Zara stood alone in the apartment, taking a moment to absorb what had happened. Staying overnight, making breakfast, being asked to be there when they returned. These were significant steps, not just in her relationship with Marcus but with the children as well. She realized that somewhere along the way her heart had become completely invested in this family. The thought should have frightened her. After all, loving people meant risking loss and pain, but instead, it filled her with a quiet certainty. Whatever came next, whatever challenges they faced, she wanted to face them together. With that thought warming her, Zara gathered her things and headed to work, already looking forward to returning that evening, to being there when 3 faces lit up at the sight of her, to coming home. By mid-June, Zara had fallen into a comfortable rhythm with Marcus and the children. Though she maintained her own apartment, she spent most evenings at their place, gradually bringing over spare clothes, her favorite mug, and the special tea she liked before bed. The children had stopped calling her Miss Zara, except at the library, and Marcus had cleared a drawer for her things without making a big announcement about it. A quiet acknowledgement of her growing place in their lives. One Thursday evening, as Zara sorted through returned books at the library, she glanced up to see Marcus approaching her desk. It was unusual for him to visit her at work without the children. "Hey!" she greeted him with surprise, her dimples appearing as she smiled. "This is a nice surprise. Where are the kids?" "With Mrs. Rodriguez from downstairs," he explained. "I needed to talk to you alone for a minute. Do you have a break coming up?" Something in his serious expression sent a flutter of anxiety through her. "Is everything okay?" "Yes, everything's fine," he assured her quickly. "Just need to discuss something. Something good, I think." Relief washed over her. "I can take 15 minutes now. Let's go to the staff room." In the quiet of the library's break room, Marcus seemed uncharacteristically nervous, fidgeting with a paper cup of water from the cooler. "So what's up?" Zara prompted gently. "I got a call from my landlord today," he began. "The lease on our apartment is up at the end of July, and they're raising the rent. Significantly." He took a breath. "I've been looking at other options, and honestly, most 2-bedroom places in safe neighborhoods are outside my budget right now." Zara nodded. understanding the housing challenges in their city all too well. That's tough. Have you found anything promising? Actually, yes, Marcus said, his eyes meeting hers directly. But it would require a change. A big one. He set down the cup. Zara, we've been together for a few months now, and it's been amazing. You've become such an important part of our lives, mine and the kids. Zara felt her heart begin to beat faster, anticipating where this might be heading. I've found a 3-bedroom apartment in a good school district, Marcus continued. It's within my budget, but only if… He took a deep breath. Only if you would consider moving in with us. Officially, contributing to rent. The proposal hung in the air between them. It wasn't just about finances, they both knew. It was about commitment, about family, about taking a significant step forward together. Marcus, Zara began carefully, that's a big decision, for all of us. I know, he acknowledged quickly. And I'm not asking for an answer right now. I want you to think about it. Talk to your dad if that would help. Consider what it would mean for your independence, your space. He reached across the table to take her hand. The last thing I want is for you to feel pressured or rushed. I wanted to put the option out there. Zara squeezed his hand, touched by his thoughtfulness. Have you talked to the kids about this possibility? Not specifically, Marcus admitted. I wanted to talk to you first, but I know they'd be thrilled. Ethan asked just last week why you don't just live with us all the time. A smile curved Zara's lips at that. He did? He said it made no sense for you to go home to an empty apartment when you could stay with us and have pancake breakfasts every day. Zara laughed softly. Kid logic is pretty compelling. It is, Marcus agreed with a smile. But this has to work for you too. Your career, your goals, your need for personal space, all of that matters. I don't want you to feel like you're sacrificing your independence for us. The fact that he'd considered these factors, that he was thinking about her needs and not just his own, made Zara's heart swell with affection. When would you need to know? About the apartment, I mean. I have 2 weeks to give them an answer, Marcus said. But Zara, please know that whatever you decide, it doesn't change how I feel about you. If this is too soon, we'll figure something else out. I'll think about it, she promised. Really think about it. And we'll talk more this weekend? Perfect, he nodded, relief evident in his expression. Now I should let you get back to work. The kids are expecting us both for dinner. As Marcus left, Zara remained in the break room for a moment, processing the conversation. Moving in together was a major step, particularly with children involved. Yet the prospect filled her with more excitement than trepidation. She'd never felt this way about anyone before, never been able to envision a shared future so clearly. That night, after the children were asleep, Zara and Marcus sat on the balcony of his apartment, the city lights twinkling around them. She'd been quiet during dinner, thoughtful, and he'd respected her need to process. I've been thinking about your proposal, she said finally, breaking the comfortable silence. Marcus turned to face her, his expression open but guarded, clearly preparing himself for any answer. And? I have some practical concerns, Zara began carefully. About finances, about what happens if… She hesitated, then pushed forward. If things don't work out between us. He nodded, understanding immediately. That's fair. We should definitely discuss how we'd handle the practical aspects if something went wrong. I wouldn't want you or the kids to feel unstable. But, Zara continued, a smile beginning to form, those are details we can work out. Because my heart is saying yes, Marcus. Yes, I want to move in with you and the children. I want to make a home with you. The joy that spread across his face was luminous. Really? You're sure? I'm sure, she confirmed, her dimples deepening as her smile widened. It feels right. It feels like where I'm meant to be. Marcus pulled her into his arms, holding her close. You've made me the happiest man in the city tonight, he murmured against her hair. Thank you for taking this chance with us. Thank you for asking, she replied softly, for making space for me and your family. They stayed that way for a long time, entwined on the balcony, dreaming aloud about the apartment they would make into a home together. Which room would be whose, how they would decorate the shared spaces, the routines they would build. The next morning, they decided to tell the children over breakfast. Zara made pancakes, becoming something of a weekend tradition, while Marcus prepared to broach the subject. "Kids, we have something important to talk about," he began as they all sat around the table. Ethan immediately looked worried. "Are we in trouble? Because I didn't mean to use all the toothpaste making slime. It was an accident." "What?" Marcus looked momentarily distracted. "No, this isn't about— Wait, you made slime with the toothpaste?" "Not now, Dad," Lily said with exaggerated patience. "You said you have something important to tell us." Zara suppressed a laugh as Marcus refocused. "Right, yes. So our lease is ending next month, which means we need to find a new apartment." "Are we moving?" Ethan asked, his pancake forgotten. "I don't want to change schools again." "You won't have to," Marcus assured him. "We're staying in the same school district, but we are looking at a different apartment. A bigger one, with 3 bedrooms instead of 2. Lily's brow furrowed in confusion. "But there's only 3 of us. Why do we need 3 bedrooms?" Marcus glanced at Zara, who nodded encouragingly. "Well, that's the important part. We're hoping that Zara might come live with us, permanently, as part of our family." There was a moment of silence as the children processed this information. Then Ethan's face lit up like a sunrise. "Zara's going to live with us? All the time? Even on weekends?" "That's the plan," Zara confirmed, her dimples appearing. "If that's okay with you both." "Yes!" Ethan pumped his fist in the air. "This is the best day ever. Can she sleep in my room?" "She'll have her own room," Marcus explained with a laugh. "Just like you and Lily do." "Unless she sleeps in your room sometimes," Lily observed matter-of-factly. "Like when she stays over now." Marcus flushed slightly, but Zara just smiled. "Sometimes, yes. But I'll have my own space too for my books and things." "Will you be like our mom now?" Lily asked suddenly, her dark eyes serious. The question hung in the air, loaded with meaning and potential pitfalls. Zara took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "I will be an adult who loves you and takes care of you," she said honestly, "but I won't try to replace your mom. You already have a mom, even if she lives far away. I'll be Zara, just someone else in your life who cares about you very much." Lily seemed to consider this, then nodded slowly. "Okay, I think that's good." "So you're both okay with this plan?" Marcus asked, looking between his children. "It's a big change, and your feelings matter a lot." "I'm super okay with it," Ethan declared emphatically. "Now Zara can teach me to make those special cookies whenever I want." "I'm okay too," Lily said, more reserved but sincere. "I like when Zara's here. Everything feels calmer." "That settles it then," Marcus said, reaching for Zara's hand across the table. "We're going to become a new kind of family, the 4 of us." The apartment hunt began in earnest the following week. With school out for summer, the children accompanied them to viewings, offering their opinions with unfiltered honesty. "This one smells like old cheese," Ethan declared of one otherwise promising option. The place they eventually chose was a sunlit 3-bedroom in a pre-war building with high ceilings, wooden floors, and a small balcony overlooking a community garden. It wasn't perfect, the kitchen was outdated, and 1 bathroom for 4 people would be a challenge, but it felt right the moment they walked in. "I can see us here," Marcus said quietly as they stood in the empty living room, the children exploring the bedrooms with excited chatter. "Can't you?" Zara nodded, already envisioning bookshelves along one wall, a comfortable couch where they could all pile together for movie nights, perhaps a small desk by the window where she could work on her children's book ideas. "It feels like home already." They signed the lease that afternoon, with a move-in date set for July 15th. As they celebrated with ice cream afterward, Zara felt a profound sense of rightness settle over her. This path she'd found herself on, this unexpected journey from librarian to family member, felt like exactly where she was meant to be. The following weeks were a whirlwind of preparations. Zara gave notice on her apartment, sorted through her possessions, deciding what to keep and what to donate, and began the process of combining her life with theirs. Marcus, meanwhile, coordinated the logistics of the move, enlisted friends to help, and continued working on a mysterious project he refused to tell her about. "It's a surprise," was all he would say when she asked, his eyes twinkling with secrecy. July 15th arrived with typical summer heat, the kind that made the air shimmer above the pavement. Moving day was chaotic but joyful. Friends arrived to help, the children supervised with more enthusiasm than effectiveness, and by evening, they were surrounded by boxes in their new home, exhausted but happy. After a dinner of delivered pizza eaten on the floor because the dining table hadn't been reassembled yet, Marcus disappeared into what would be their bedroom, closing the door behind him. "What's Dad doing?" Ethan asked, sauce wringing his mouth. "I'm not sure," Zara replied, curious herself. "Maybe unpacking something important?" When Marcus finally emerged, he looked nervous but excited. "Kids, Zara, I have something for all of you. A housewarming gift, I guess you could call it." He ushered them into the bedroom, where he'd set up 3 gift-wrapped packages on the newly made bed. "Biggest one is for all of us," he explained. "The other 2 are for Ethan and Lily." The children tore into their presents with typical enthusiasm. Ethan's was a beautifully illustrated book about space exploration, with a personal inscription from Marcus on the flyleaf. Lily's was a journal with a horse on the cover, the pages alternating between lined paper for writing and blank pages for drawing. "I thought you might want to start writing down your stories," Marcus explained as Lily ran her fingers over the cover. "You're becoming quite the storyteller." "Thank you, Dad," she said softly, clutching the journal to her chest. Marcus then handed the larger package to Zara. "This one's for all of us, but maybe you should open it." Curious, Zara carefully unwrapped the package to reveal a large, leather-bound book. Opening it, she gasped softly. It was a hand-illustrated children's book, clearly created by Marcus himself. The title page read, "The Story of Us," in his distinctive lettering, and below it, written and illustrated by Marcus Taylor. "Marcus," she breathed, turning the pages to find the story of a single father and his 2 children who meet a kind librarian with magical dimples. The illustrations were exquisite, stylized yet recognizable versions of themselves on adventures through libraries, parks, and finally, a new home. "Read it, Zara," Ethan urged, pressing against her side to see the pages. With a voice that trembled slightly with emotion, Zara began to read the simple but heartfelt story Marcus had created. It told of loneliness and struggle, of chance meetings and growing friendship, and finally, of love and the building of a new kind of family. The final illustration showed the 4 of them standing in front of their new apartment building, holding hands with the words, "And they began their greatest adventure yet, building a home together," written beneath. When Zara finished reading, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Even Ethan was sniffling a little, though he tried to hide it. "This is the most beautiful gift I've ever received," Zara said, looking up at Marcus with shining eyes. "I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," he replied softly. "Just know that this, what we're building here, it means everything to me, to us." He glanced at his children, who nodded in solemn agreement. "Group hug," Ethan declared, throwing his arms around Zara. Lily joined from the other side, and Marcus enclosed them all in his embrace. Standing there, surrounded by the people who had become her family in such a short time, Zara felt a sense of belonging more profound than anything she'd experienced before. There would be challenges ahead, adjustments to make, routines to establish, but in this moment, in this embrace, Everything was exactly as it should be. Later that night, after the children were asleep in their new rooms, Zara and Marcus stood on their small balcony, looking out at the city lights. "Happy?" Marcus asked, his arm around her shoulders. "Completely," she answered truthfully, her dimples appearing as she smiled up at him. "I never expected any of this when I offered to help with bedtime stories that day, but now I can't imagine being anywhere else." "The best stories are the ones we don't see coming," Marcus said, kissing her temple gently. "Thank you for being part of ours." As they stood there in the warm summer night, planning their new life together, Zara thought about the journey that had brought them to this point. A chance meeting at a library story circle, a struggling single father, a woman with a heart open to unexpected possibilities, and two resilient children ready to love again. It wasn't a conventional love story, perhaps, but it was theirs, and it was beautiful in its imperfect, real-world way. And like all the best stories, it was just beginning. The transition to living together wasn't without its challenges. By early August, they had established new routines and compromises, learning to navigate the minutiae of shared space and blended lives. Zara discovered that Marcus was perpetually incapable of replacing the toilet paper roll, while he learned that her extensive book collection would inevitably expand beyond the shelves they'd designated. The children adjusted to new rules, new responsibilities, and the sometimes confusing dynamics of having another adult authority figure in their daily lives. One particularly humid Tuesday afternoon, Zara came home from work to find the apartment in unusual disarray. Toys and art supplies were scattered across the living room floor, dishes piled in the sink, and an odd smell emanating from the kitchen. "Hello?" she called, setting down her bag. "Anyone home?" Ethan's head popped up from behind the couch, where he appeared to be constructing some kind of fort. "Zara, you're home early. You're not supposed to be home yet." Before she could respond, Marcus emerged from the kitchen, a streak of what looked like flour across his cheek and a panicked expression on his face. "Zara, what are you doing here? I thought you had that staff meeting today." "It finished early," she explained, looking around in bewilderment. "What's going on here? It looks like a tornado hit the place." "It's a surprise," Ethan announced, bouncing up from his hiding place. "Dad said we had to keep it a secret." Marcus shot his son an exasperated look. "Thanks for the help with the secret part, buddy." Lily appeared from the hallway, her hands covered in glitter. "Is Zara home? Did she see it yet?" "See what?" Zara asked, increasingly curious. "What are you all up to?" Marcus sighed, resignation replacing panic. "Well, since the surprise is pretty much blown now," he gestured toward the kitchen, "we were making you something, a thank you gift of sorts. It's not quite ready, but I guess you might as well see it now." Intrigued, Zara followed him into the kitchen, where the mystery smell grew stronger, a combination of baking, paint, and possibly glue. On the counter sat a lopsided cake, partially frosted with uneven swirls of chocolate. Beside it were handmade cards from the children, still drying, covered in glitter and enthusiastic messages. "We were going to have it all ready when you got home," Marcus explained, running a hand through his hair and leaving another streak of flour. "The kids wanted to thank you for everything. For making our home better. For making us better." Zara felt her heart swell with emotion as she surveyed the chaotic kitchen. "This is what all the mess is about? You were making me a surprise?" "We made a cake," Ethan announced proudly, pointing to the lopsided creation. "I put in the eggs all by myself. And I wrote a poem," Lily added, more subdued but equally proud. "It's in my card, but the glitter is still wet." "I was going to clean everything up before you got home," Marcus admitted, looking sheepishly at the disaster area that was their kitchen. "The timing didn't quite work out." Zara laughed, her dimples appearing. "This is wonderful, absolutely wonderful, mess and all." "You're not mad about the kitchen?" Ethan asked, his eyes wide. "Not at all," Zara assured him, kneeling down to his level. "This is the sweetest thing anyone has ever done for me. Thank you." The cake probably tastes terrible, Marcus warned. We had some measurement issues. I'm sure it's perfect, Zara said, standing up to kiss his flower-streaked cheek. Just like all of you. Together they finished frosting the cake, a task that somehow resulted in chocolate on everyone's faces and even in Ethan's hair. They cleared enough space at the dining table to sit together, cutting generous slices of the misshapen confection. This is a very special day, Marcus announced as they gathered around the table. A celebration of our new family. Zara, the kids and I want you to know how much you mean to us, how much better our lives are because you're in them. I made this for you, Lily said, sliding her card across the table. Be careful of the glitter, it's still sticky. Zara opened the card carefully, touched to find a poem inside, written in Lily's careful handwriting. Zara came to read us books, then she stayed to help us cook. Her dimples shine when she smiles bright. She makes the scary dreams all right. Thank you for braiding my hair so neat. Thank you for making our home complete. Oh, Lily, Zara breathed, her eyes filling with tears. This is beautiful. Mine next, Ethan insisted, pushing his card forward. His creation was more exuberant, covered in stickers and drawings with a message scrawled in uneven letters. Zara is the best because she makes good pancakes. She knows dinosaur facts. She doesn't get mad when I spill things. She helps me with hard words. She makes Dad happy again. I love this, Zara said, her voice thick with emotion. I'm going to keep these forever. There's one more thing, Marcus said, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small box, not the kind that holds jewelry, but rather something flat and rectangular. This is from me. Zara opened it to find a key on a simple keychain with a small hand-painted wooden charm attached, a book with tiny dimples carved into its cover. I know you already have a key to the apartment, Marcus explained, but this one is different. I made the charm myself. It's to remind you that this isn't just an apartment we're sharing. It's a home we're building together, a story we're writing together. Zara was overwhelmed, tears spilling freely now. I don't know what to say, she whispered, except that I love all of you so much, more than I ever thought possible. We love you too, Marcus said simply, reaching across the table to take her hand. Group hug, Ethan declared, abandoning his cake to throw his arms around Zara. Lily joined more sedately, and finally Marcus, enveloping them all in his embrace. Later that evening, after the kitchen was cleaned and the children were in bed, Zara and Marcus sat together on the small balcony, sharing a bottle of wine in the peaceful city night. Thank you for today, Zara said, leaning against his shoulder. It meant more than I can express. It was the kids' idea, Marcus admitted. They've been planning it for days. They wanted to do something special to show you how much you mean to them. He paused, taking her hand. To all of us. These past few months have been the most meaningful of my life, Zara said softly. Watching Lily come out of her shell, seeing Ethan's confidence grow, being part of your journey. Our journey now, Marcus corrected gently. You know, before you came into our lives, I was just trying to survive each day. Keep the kids fed, get them to school on time, make sure homework was done, the bare minimum. I didn't have the energy for more than that. He looked out at the city lights, his expression thoughtful. But you showed us how to live again, how to find joy in small moments, how to be a family, not just people sharing the same space. You were already a family, Zara reminded him. A good one. You just needed a little help finding your rhythm again. Maybe, Marcus acknowledged. But what you gave us was more than rhythm, it was harmony. He turned to face her directly. Zara, I know this is still new, us living together, building this life, but I want you to know that for me, this isn't temporary. It's not an arrangement of convenience. It's everything I never knew I was looking for. The intensity in his eyes made Zara's heart beat faster. It's everything for me too, she said simply. You and the kids, You're my home now." He kissed her then, slow and sweet, his hand coming up to trace the dimple in her cheek. When they parted, both were smiling, content in the knowledge that they had found something rare and precious, a second chance at family, at wholeness, at love. The following weekend brought another milestone. Zara's father was coming to dinner, his first visit to their new home, and his first time meeting Marcus and the children. Zara had spoken of him often, but coordinating schedules had been challenging with his job as a hospital administrator. "Do you think he'll like us?" Lily asked as she helped Zara set the table. "Your dad? He'll love you," Zara assured her, straightening a fork. "How could he not?" "But what if he doesn't?" Lily persisted, her insecurity showing. "What if he thinks you shouldn't live with us?" Zara put down the plates she was holding and knelt to meet Lily's eyes. "My dad wants me to be happy," she said gently. "And you, your brother, and your dad make me happier than I've ever been. He'll see that right away." Lily seemed only partially convinced but nodded and continued helping with the table. In the kitchen, Marcus was preparing lasagna, one of his few reliably successful dishes, while Ethan supervised by asking 1,000 questions and occasionally being allowed to sprinkle cheese. When the doorbell rang, Zara felt a flutter of nerves. Her father's opinion meant everything to her, and she desperately wanted him to approve of the family she had joined. James Johnson was a tall, distinguished man in his early 60s, with the same warm brown complexion as his daughter and a kind face that showed the remnants of dimples similar to Zara's. "Dad!" Zara embraced him warmly. "Thank you for coming. I want you to meet everyone." She made the introductions, watching nervously as her father shook hands with Marcus and greeted the children. Ethan immediately bombarded him with questions about his job at the hospital, while Lily hung back shyly. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you all," James said warmly. "Zara talks about you constantly." "All good things, I hope," Marcus replied with a slightly nervous laugh. "The best," James assured him, his eyes twinkling. "Though she didn't mention how handsome you are, I can see why my daughter's been so smitten." "Dad!" Zara protested, feeling herself blush. Dinner went remarkably well. James was a natural conversationalist, putting everyone at ease with stories about Zara's childhood and genuine interest in the children's activities. By dessert, Ethan was completely won over, and even Lily had emerged from her shell enough to tell James about her favorite books. After the children were excused to play in the living room, the adults lingered at the table with coffee. James looked thoughtfully at his daughter, then at Marcus. "So," he said quietly, "this is serious, I take it?" "Very," Marcus confirmed, reaching for Zara's hand under the table. "I know it might seem fast, but when you know, you know." James nodded slowly. "I felt the same way when I met Zara's mother. Sometimes life brings us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it." He took a sip of his coffee. "Zara was 10 when her mother died. It was just the two of us after that, figuring things out day by day." "She told me," Marcus said. "It's part of why she connects so well with Lily and Ethan. She understands what they're going through in her own way." "I see that," James agreed. "I see how they look at her, especially the little girl. There's trust there. That doesn't come easy with children who've experienced loss." "Dad?" Zara said, slightly embarrassed by the analysis. "We're right here." James laughed, the sound warm and familiar. "Sorry, sweetheart. Occupational hazard, spending too much time analyzing human behavior." He turned his attention fully to Marcus. "What I'm trying to say, perhaps not very elegantly, is that I approve. My daughter has excellent judgment, and I can see why she's chosen to make a life with you and your children. You've built something special here." "Thank you, sir," Marcus said sincerely. "That means a lot, to both of us." "Please call me James," he insisted. "If we're going to be family, we should be on a first-name basis." The evening concluded with promises of future dinners, an invitation for James to attend Ethan's upcoming soccer game, and warm hugs all around. As Zara walked her father to the door, He pulled her aside for a private word. "You look happy, Zara," he said softly. "Truly happy. It reminds me of how your mother used to light up a room." Tears pricked at Zara's eyes. "I am happy, Dad. Happier than I ever thought possible." "Then that's all that matters," he said, kissing her forehead. "Your mother would be so proud of the woman you've become and the family you've found." After her father left, Zara stood for a moment in the entryway, overwhelmed with emotion. Marcus found her there, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "You okay?" he murmured against her hair. "More than okay," she assured him, leaning back into his embrace. "Just thinking about how lucky I am, how complete I feel." "I'm the lucky one," Marcus countered. "We all are. You chose us, Zara. You chose to love children who came as part of a package deal, to take on challenges that weren't yours to bear. That's extraordinary." She turned in his arms to face him. "It never felt like a choice," she said simply. "From that first day in the library, it felt like coming home, like finding the place I was always meant to be." As they held each other in the quiet apartment, the sounds of the children playing drifting from the living room, Zara reflected on the journey that had brought her here, from a chance encounter at a story circle to this moment of profound belonging. Life rarely followed the neat, predictable plot of a storybook, but sometimes, just sometimes, the unplanned chapters turned out to be the most beautiful of all. The gentle September breeze carried the scent of autumn as Zara made her way home from work, her mind filled with plans for the evening ahead. Marcus had texted earlier, asking her to pick up a few groceries, a rare request that hinted at some special dinner he was planning. She smiled to herself, dimples appearing as she imagined his latest culinary experiment. His cooking had improved dramatically over the past months, though there were still occasional disasters that sent them all into fits of laughter. The apartment was unusually quiet when she arrived. No sound of Ethan's exuberant chatter or Lily's softer voice greeting her. Curious, she set down the grocery bags and called out, "Hello? Anyone home?" No answer. A note sat on the kitchen counter, propped against a small vase holding a single yellow rose, her favorite. The note, written in Marcus's distinctive handwriting, read simply, "Follow the trail. First stop, where stories begin." Intrigued, Zara noticed for the first time a series of yellow paper stars leading from the kitchen toward the living room bookshelf, where stories begin. Smiling at the mystery, she followed the path to find another note tucked between two of her favorite novels. "You brought stories into our lives when we needed them most. Next stop, where morning smiles begin." The kitchen, Zara thought immediately, where she made pancakes that brought smiles to their faces each morning. Sure enough, a trail of stars led to the stove, where another note waited. "Your pancakes are legendary, your heart even more so. Next stop, where dreams are shared." This one was easier, the small balcony where they often sat in the evenings, sharing their hopes and dreams for the future. Outside, the balcony had been transformed with fairy lights and potted flowers, creating a magical atmosphere against the backdrop of the setting sun. Another note rested on the small table they had placed there. "On this balcony, we've whispered dreams to each other and to the night sky. Some dreams are too big for whispers. Next stop, where little ones rest their heads." The children's rooms? Zara followed another trail of stars down the hallway, finding first Ethan's door decorated with more stars and a note. "Not here. Keep going." The same message waited at Lily's door. Confused, Zara continued to the end of the hall, where the small home office they shared had its door closed, unusual for the middle of the day. A final note was taped to the door. "In this room, we've planned adventures, worked side by side, and built our future together. Some adventures are just beginning. Open the door to find your final destination." Heart beating faster now, Zara turned the knob and pushed open the door to find the office transformed. The desk had been moved aside to make room for a small table set for two, with candles and flowers creating an intimate dining space. The walls were covered with dozens of yellow paper stars, and standing in the center of the room were Marcus, Lily, and Ethan, all dressed in their best clothes and wearing matching nervous smiles. "Surprise!" Ethan shouted, unable to contain himself. "What is all this?" Zara asked, looking around in wonder. Marcus stepped forward, taking her hands in his. "We wanted to do something special, to mark an important day." "What day?" Zara asked, confused. It wasn't her birthday or any anniversary she could recall. 6 months ago today, Marcus explained. "You first came to our apartment to help with bedtime stories. 6 months since you began changing our lives." "We made dinner," Lily added proudly. "Dad helped, but we did most of it." "And I set the table all by myself," Ethan declared. "Without breaking anything." Zara laughed, her dimples appearing. "This is incredible. Thank you all so much." "There's more," Marcus said, suddenly looking nervous. He glanced at the children, who nodded encouragingly. "We've been planning this for weeks. The kids helped with every detail." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Zara's breath caught as he dropped to one knee before her, the children moving to stand on either side of him. "Zara Johnson," Marcus began, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "6 months ago, you walked into our lives with a bag full of books and a smile that lit up the room. You offered help when we needed it most, not just with bedtime stories, but with rebuilding our sense of family, of home, of possibility." He opened the box to reveal a delicate ring with a central diamond flanked by 2 smaller stones. "These represent the 3 of us," he explained, "asking you to join our family forever." "We want you to marry Dad," Ethan blurted out, too excited to stay quiet any longer. "And be our family officially," Lily added softly, her eyes hopeful. "So," Marcus continued, "with the full support and enthusiastic endorsement of these 2 amazing kids, I'm asking, Zara, will you marry me? Will you continue this incredible journey with us, as a family?" Tears filled Zara's eyes as she looked at the 3 faces before her. Marcus's handsome features filled with love and hope, Ethan's excited grin, Lily's tentative smile. This unexpected family that had become her whole world. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "Yes, of course, yes." The children erupted in cheers as Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, then stood to pull her into a kiss. Ethan immediately demanded a group hug, and Lily joined without hesitation, the 4 of them holding each other tightly in the star-filled room. "I can't believe you planned all this," Zara said, wiping happy tears from her cheeks. "The scavenger hunt, the dinner. The kids came up with the scavenger hunt idea," Marcus explained. "They wanted it to tell the story of us." "And I picked the yellow stars," Ethan added proudly, "because Zara is bright like a star." "I helped write the clues," Lily said. "Dad says I'm good with words." "You are," Zara confirmed, kneeling to hug the little girl. "And I'm so honored to be joining your family." "You're already our family," Lily said matter-of-factly. "This just makes it official." Over dinner, a surprisingly successful pasta dish the children had helped prepare, they talked excitedly about wedding plans, with Ethan insisting on a dinosaur-themed cake and Lily quietly asking if she could be a bridesmaid. "Of course you'll be my bridesmaid," Zara assured her. "I couldn't imagine anyone better." "And I'll be the ring bearer," Ethan declared. "Ring bearer," Marcus corrected with a laugh. "That's what I said," Ethan insisted. "I'll carry the rings and roar like a bear." After dinner, they moved to the living room for a special dessert. Cupcakes the children had decorated themselves, each one topped with a yellow star made of fondant. As they enjoyed the sweet treats, Zara couldn't stop looking at the ring on her finger, at the tangible symbol of this new chapter in their lives. "When did you know?" she asked Marcus softly while the children were distracted with a debate about the best cupcake flavor. "Know what?" "That this was where we were heading, that you wanted to marry me." Marcus smiled, taking her hand. Remember that night when Lily was sick? When you came over with Pedialyte and that stuffed horse? That's when I knew. Watching you care for her, seeing how naturally you fit into our lives even in a crisis, I just knew. That early? Zara was surprised. We'd only been dating a few weeks. Sometimes you don't need a lot of time, Marcus said simply. Sometimes you just recognize your home when you find it. The phrase struck a chord with Zara, reminding her of something she'd thought many times over the past months. That's exactly how I felt, she admitted, like I'd found my home. The evening concluded with their usual bedtime routine, stories, teeth brushing, tucking in, but everything felt heightened, more significant. As Zara read to Lily, the little girl reached out to touch the ring on her finger. "Are you happy?" Lily asked, her dark eyes serious. "Happier than I've ever been," Zara answered truthfully. "Me too," Lily confessed. "After Mom left, I didn't think we'd ever be happy again. But we are." The simple observation, delivered with a child's directness, moved Zara deeply. "Life can surprise us," she said softly. "Sometimes the hard parts lead us to the best parts." After both children were asleep, Zara and Marcus retreated to their balcony, wrapped in a shared blanket against the cooling night air. The city spread before them, a tapestry of lights and possibilities. "Any regrets?" Marcus asked, his arm around her shoulders. "About saying yes? About taking on an instant family?" Zara shook her head, her dimples appearing as she smiled up at him. "Not a single one. This might not be the life I imagined for myself, but it's infinitely better than anything I could have dreamed up." Even with the chaos, the noise, the constant juggling of schedules and needs? "Especially with all that," she assured him. "That's what makes it real. That's what makes it ours." Marcus kissed her temple, his voice thick with emotion when he spoke. "I never thought I'd find this again. After Denise left, I thought that part of my life was over. The partnership, the shared dreams, the feeling of being truly known and accepted. I never thought I'd find it at all," Zara admitted. "I always wanted a family, but I was beginning to think it might not happen for me." She twisted her engagement ring, watching the way it caught the city lights. "And then I met this frazzled dad and his two amazing kids at story time, and everything changed." "Thank goodness for library story circles," Marcus murmured against her hair. "And thank goodness for single dads who aren't too proud to ask for help," Zara added, snuggling closer into his embrace. The next morning brought the joyful chaos of sharing their news. Zara called her father first, who expressed both delight and a complete lack of surprise. "I've been waiting for this call since I had dinner at your place," he admitted. "I could see where things were heading." Marcus's parents, who lived in Chicago, were equally thrilled, demanding a video call so they could virtually meet their future daughter-in-law. They had been supportive from the beginning, sending care packages and offering advice from a distance, but the engagement brought a new level of excitement. "When's the wedding?" Ethan asked over breakfast, his mouth full of cereal. "Tomorrow?" "Not quite that soon," Marcus laughed. "Planning a wedding takes time." "How much time?" Lily wanted to know. "Before Christmas?" Zara and Marcus exchanged glances. "We haven't decided yet," Zara explained, "but we'll include you both in the planning. It's a family decision." "Can we get a dog after you get married?" Ethan asked, making a seamless leap in logic that only a 7-year-old could manage. "One thing at a time, buddy," Marcus replied, though his eyes met Zara's with amusement. They had in fact already discussed the possibility of a pet once they were settled as a married family. That evening, as Zara helped Lily with her homework, the little girl asked quietly, "After you marry Dad, what should I call you?" The question caught Zara off guard. "What would you like to call me?" Lily considered this seriously. "Not Mom," she decided, "because even though she's far away, I already have one of those." "I agree," Zara said gently. "I would never want to replace your mom." But not just Zara either, Lily continued, because you'll be more than that. What about just keeping it as it is? Zara suggested. I'll always be Zara who loves you, no matter what name you use. Lily nodded, seemingly satisfied with this solution. And you'll always be here? You won't leave like Mom did? The question revealed the fear that still lingered beneath the surface of their happiness. Zara set down the homework and took Lily's hands in hers. I can't promise that nothing will ever change, she said honestly. Life doesn't work that way. But I can promise that I am committed to you, to Ethan, and to your dad. I choose this family every day, and I will keep choosing it. I'm not looking for any other life than the one I have with all of you. Lily studied her face intently, then nodded. I believe you, she said simply, before returning to her homework. The exchange stayed with Zara as the evening progressed into night. After the children were asleep, she found Marcus in their bedroom, already under the covers with a book. Lily asked me if I would leave someday, like her mom did, she told him, sitting on the edge of the bed. Marcus set down his book, his expression somber. What did you tell her? The truth. That I can't promise nothing will ever change, but that I'm committed to this family. That I choose all of you, every day. He reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. That's why I love you, you know. Your honesty. Your understanding that real love isn't about fairy tale promises. It's about choosing each other through the messy, complicated reality of actual life. Zara slipped under the covers beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. I do choose you, all of you, every single day. And we choose you right back, Marcus assured her, kissing the top of her head, dimples and all. As they settled into sleep, Zara reflected on the journey that had brought her here, from a chance meeting at a library story circle to this moment of profound belonging. Life rarely followed the neat, predictable plot of a storybook, but sometimes the most beautiful stories were the ones that surprised you, that led you down unexpected paths to places you never knew you were seeking. In the quiet darkness of their bedroom, with the soft sounds of their children sleeping down the hall, Zara felt the truth of it settle in her heart. This was her family, her home, her most precious gift. And tomorrow, they would continue writing their story together, one day at a time, one moment at a time, a story of second chances, of healing, of a love that had grown from the simple offer of help on a spring afternoon. The next day dawned bright and clear. As Zara helped Ethan tie his shoes and Marcus prepared lunches for the school day ahead, Lily approached with something in her hands. I made this for you, she said, presenting Zara with a handmade card. On the front was a carefully drawn picture of the four of them, standing together in front of what appeared to be their apartment building. Inside, Lily had written in her neat handwriting, "Thank you for helping Dad with us, for stories, braids, and making no fuss when Ethan spills or I get sad. You make our family whole and glad. Your dimples show how kind you are. Like Dad says, you're our guiding star." "Oh, Lily," Zara breathed, kneeling to hug the little girl. "This is beautiful. Thank you." Dad helped with some of the rhymes, Lily admitted, but the pictures and the idea were all mine. "It's perfect," Zara assured her. "I'm going to keep it forever." As they headed out the door, Marcus to drop the children at school before going to work, Zara to open the library for the day, they paused for their newly established ritual, a family hug in the doorway, a moment of connection before facing the day. "I love you all," Zara said, her dimples deepening as she smiled at her soon-to-be husband and the children who had already claimed her heart. "See you tonight for dinner." "We love you too," they chorused back, a harmonious blend of voices that had become the soundtrack of her life. Walking toward the subway, Zara found herself thinking of that first day at the library story circle, when a tired single father and his 2 children had wandered in, looking for nothing more than a momentary respite from their struggles. None of them could have imagined then what that chance encounter would lead to, how a simple offer of help with bedtime stories would transform into the foundation of a new family, a new beginning for all of them. Life's most precious gifts, Zara reflected, often came in unexpected packages. Sometimes they appeared in the form of a struggling single dad and his vulnerable, wonderful children. Sometimes they looked like chaos and challenge but contained joy and belonging. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, they led you exactly where you needed to be, even when you hadn't known you were searching. With her engagement ring catching the morning sunlight and her heart full of gratitude, Zara continued toward the library, ready for another day of stories, especially the one she was living, the one she helped create, the one that had only just begun. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.